Your Majesties, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for always returning. Trust you and yours are well, and you're loving yourself and others like always. Many thanks to all of you for the support you give to the channel. Thank you so much to our channel members, anonymous supporters, to those who give us super thanks. Many thanks to Yusuf Rashada for the super thanks gifted to the channel, and to all of you for giving our videos thumbs up, for leaving comments. Your comments are all important. Thank you so much, Your Majesties. In case you hear some background noise, please pardon me. All right, so today we'll be talking about God. Yeah, so you can just go grab a cup of coffee or maybe something to chew while we do this discussion. And I hope that I do justice as I can in my own power to this topic. All right, so when you talk about God, what comes to mind is the supreme being who is in charge of everything that happens in the world. The supreme being who is in charge of the creation of the world and all that we see, everything that lives, that moves, and that have breath in them. This is what comes to mind when we talk about a God, right? And this same supreme being is not just known by this very word God. In our tribes, in our languages, we have different names for this supreme being. And when you want to begin to analyze these names of this supreme being, there is a whole lot that will come to mind. That's when you get to know that it's just beyond a man sitting up somewhere and having everything under his beck and call. It's just beyond that, right? So as we gradually dissect this, as we gradually move into this, you begin to discover that most of what we believe in is some people's idea, some people's notion about this God that we all believe in. And the moment you want to have your own belief about this God to you, a personal belief, what you feel this supreme being is to you, these same people begins to tell you that it is wrong and you're going to die, you go to hell. So you have to tie yourself to this whole analogy about this God of some people. All right, not your own. Your own opinion about this supreme being does not matter. I think I would love to use the word supreme being because this very word God, I'm not comfortable with it. So your analogy of this supreme being is not important. It's the analogy of some other people, the notion of some other people that you are forced to believe. Now, who is the supreme being to you? These are questions that, as we progress, I would want us to just sit and keep thinking around. Who is the supreme being to you? And why is it that you can't find the supreme being by yourself? Why not look at the creator from your own perspective? Why must it be that you have to believe in the creator? You have to look at the supreme being from the perspective of some other people, or some the ideas of some people that are being laid down from time immemorial. So we keep believing in that same idea. When this supreme being is not in a form, this supreme being, the creator, that creative force, can come to anybody, can manifest to anybody in a different way, in a different form, yes, at the same time, because of course, the creator is a spirit. And that's why you mustn't see somebody seated somewhere. There's a spirit, that creative force and energy that you feel is the creator that putting those ideas in your head. Okay, you have to do this and that to get this. This is the creative force at work in the life of all of us. So it's not just the notion of somebody about this supreme being that is the only thing that we have to follow. And that is where the world have gotten it wrong. Because all the while, it's if you don't follow what has been laid down in social book, you are dying and you are going to hell. And come on, Your Majesty, this is deep. So I want us to listen to Nusula. She's someone that have been using her gift. I say it's a gift because what's the level of the knowledge she have and the way she analyzes things is just so divine. You can check her out on YouTube as well.
Everything that we know about God isn't actually from God. Every religious book that there is was written from someone's perspective of who they believe God was at a specific time and place. And somehow they've convinced you that if you don't look at God, an infinite being, from their own perspective, you're going to hell. And to explain how ridiculous this sounds, I'm going to give you an analogy of the Eiffel Tower. An Eiffel Tower is big, massive, and no matter what perspective you're looking at the Eiffel Tower in, you can never see it in its full entirety. For example, if you look at the side of an Eiffel Tower, you're only looking at the side of an Eiffel Tower. Even when you take the bird's eye view, you're only looking at the top of the Eiffel Tower. So for someone to tell you that their perspective of an infinite being is the one and only is ridiculous. So when you use your religion that was created by a bunch of people from their perspective to restrict who God is and infinite power and condemn every single person with a different perspective that they're going to hell, you're ridiculous. When I tell people to stop living in fear and to find who God is by themselves, they're like, well, the people that, made this religious text was inspired by God. Wasn't the same God that created those people the same God that created you? If they can be inspired by God and to find God through their own perspectives, why can't you? Then someone will say to me, well, if everybody found God through their own understanding, there would just be too many perspectives of who God is. Listen to me. God created us all differently. If God wanted us to have one perspective of who God is, God would have created us all the same. There is a reason why people have different strengths and weaknesses, why everybody's different, because God is not just one form. God takes many forms. I like to think about God as a sphere or a circle. What religion is created one point of that circle and said, this is what God is, and if you don't believe this, you're going to hell. When really, at any point within the sphere is what God is, and no matter what angle you look at God in, that is still who God is.
Because in the midst of us baptizing everything that is European, we've actually become agents of colonizing Africans. So firstly, we need to start talking about God. This picture of God, this big white man with a big beard, sitting in the heavens, with a big pen in his hand and a book, waiting for us to make mistakes, and then he must send us to hell. Africans don't need to go to hell. We're in hell already. Stop telling about others, otherwise we're burning twice. We are suffering now. We will suffer again at the end. We might as well endure this hell or work across it and make it a paradise. We need, therefore, number one, to understand psychologically their proclivities. Their proclivities. Psychologically, you become affected when you begin to worship a God that does not identify with you. Follow carefully. Because when you read the Bible, he comes to set the captives free. It in front of our own people. We have become the colonizers ourselves. Uncle Toms, who are sitting on the conscience of our people. Which is wrong. Which is wrong. How do you sleep at night? Taking money from widows and orphans. How do you sleep at night? Taking money from people who cannot afford food and bread because Jesus will bless them. For the past 15 years, they've been giving their offerings to you and their lives have not changed. What is the problem? Because you don't have faith. You don't have faith. When Amfundis, do you have faith in collecting money from us? So we need to understand and deconstruct the whole picture and ideology of this white Messiah. And as long as we worship a white Messiah, my submission to you is that we are not worshiping the truth of the text. This is an academic exercise we're doing here. If you want to be true to the text, please, I bought a can of Coke. Can I drink the Coke? Can I drink the Coke? Don't tell me, just drink as long as you are drinking. I said I want Coke. Therefore, remove the unnecessary iconography. And when you get more academic and you study the Kemetic religion to find that issues of the Trinity, the Mother and Son, all these things are actually way found in Kemet before even the Bible was written. And the Kemetic history is older than the Bible. Then I leave to you who are academicians. Since Jesus grew up in Egypt, when he came back to teach them after 12 years, from which school was he coming from and who had taught him? That's for you who are more advanced in your spaces of study to now to do a comparative study between the biblical text and Kemetic text and see the similarities and authenticate which one is older than the other. Then position your theology.
All right, Majesties, we have heard all that, and I would want you to leave your comments and thought there at this section. There have been a whole lot of things that we have messed up, like we have messed up, and why? It's not our fault. Is the system. Of course, there are people who would want to take advantage of our belief and use it against us. And that's exactly how we came to where we are today. And this what brings me to asking again, who is God to you? Who is the supreme being to me? Of course, when we say the supreme being is a spirit and is everywhere, that means this same supreme being can be anywhere in a different form as he chose, right? So it mustn't be that the supreme being have to be in the way you have brought him to me. Because of course I'm different. Like she said, we are all created differently by this same supreme being. That is the belief we have. So if we were created differently with our own weaknesses and strength, with our own differences, why do you think that the supreme being will manifest himself to me in the same way he has manifested himself to the other person? This is where the problem is. Something is really wrong with what we believe in. Something is really wrong with all what we've been holding dear all the while. And I think that we look into this and figure this out for ourselves. There's nothing wrong in looking into this, right? The reason why you see that something is even wrong with the beliefs all the while is, oh, if you don't do according to this, you are dying, you are going to hell. That's where I began to sense something is fishy. Something is, why are you threatening me with hell? Why are you threatening me with destruction all the time? Right? You tie my legs with this whole fear so that I believe in what you brought, not because I want to believe in that, but because I don't want to die and go to hell. And this is the same motive majority of us are using. The fear of, oh, I'm not going to hell, so I have to stick to what I've been believing all the ages past. Oh, I don't want this to happen to me, so I have to stick to this. And that's why we have not been relieved from the burdens on our shoulders, because of fear. The fear of what is to come, the fear of tomorrow, the fear of, oh, what if this happens? I don't know if you get what I'm saying. And this is a red flag I began to see. Because you keep threatening me, you don't want me to think for myself. Because if I think for myself, I'm going to rot in hell and burn and forever. Know the supreme being for yourself. Who is the supreme being to you? Who is that creative force? Who is the creator to you? Know the creator for yourself. Of course, the universe is governed by the supreme powers, by the supreme being. Nothing just happened. Something happened because something was. So the moment we have this foundation, okay, there is a supreme being, there is a creative force and energy that is responsible for everything that is alive, that breathes and that have life. That is the beginning. Now, who is that supreme being to you? Who is that supreme being to me? Discover him for yourself. Do not allow this, you have to do this, you have to follow this rule, if not you die and go to hell. I don't know where we're going to go with this, because it's just like we'll keep living in the circle, we'll keep turning around, we'll never discover what we should discover as a people. When we are tied down by this whole living on someone's narrative about the creator, and when you want to discover for yourself, you are going to hell. When we are tied by this whole thing, there is no way we will get to the truth, because there's something outside the circle. I keep saying it. There is something outside the circle, and they don't want us to discover that thing outside the circle, so they try their best to keep us tied within the circle. Now, it's left for you what to decide on. So what do you think? Leave your comment and thought there at the section, and I'll see you in my next one. Until then, love yourself, love others, stay safe, stay positive. Always your majesties. Bye.